as we welcome in the star of J Street Vibes, of course.
Well, this just in. It looks like ARC, American River College, just defeated Cal Berkeley 54
Why do
44.
you do that to that man? The
That's
man's
what we
hurting
do.
enough.
That's what we doing today.
I like Cal too. Shout out to Ed Gray. That was my guy. You know what I mean? I had love for Ed Gray. I just don't
That's
know
what
what's
we
going
doing.
on in Berkeley.
That's what we doing. I mean, really, that was uncalled for. I mean, it's
It was
bad
like,
enough. It's bad enough that we have to probably drop down a level or something to win a game or two. But I mean,
what's the next level to drop down?
I don't know. I have no idea.
24-hour fitness. It's Cal versus 24-hour fitness.
I mean, the coach keeps saying we got some guys who are injured, but I'm like, no, I don't want to hear that. You just got beat. I mean, and it's not like they're getting beat on some upset shot at the end. Like they're losing the entire game. Like they're chasing Southern all night.
Well, like I said,
They're
though,
rallying to try to get close to you. I mean, I don't know what it's.
like I said though, on the bright side, you do have the axe, and we didn't talk about this, Damien. Oh, David Shaw, might be time. Might be time.
No, it's not. It doesn't matter. We've been over this a million times.
I thought they
What
turned
Stanford does, it doesn't matter.
I thought they liked football after what they got with Harbaugh. They got a taste of it and they wanted more. Now they're back to not caring.
They like it. It's cool. But if David Shaw can get kids in there to play football and graduate, that's what Stanford cares about. I don't think David Shaw's job is even remotely in danger.
I can't imagine that it is. I mean, he had some success, and I mean, eventually he'll probably find some like genius kid quarterback somewhere, like in Texas with like a 4.3, and then all of a sudden that'll be their new guy. Who was the last quarterback? Was there somebody after Luck? I can't remember now.
Yeah, there's somebody that's he's like a backup now that some fan base was clamoring for. Like that's kind of the crazy thing. He has NFL players on the roster every year. Like the offensive linemen go to the NFL or whatever, but I don't know, it just hasn't turned into success as of late. But if you guys are right, which you probably are, if he stays, I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on at Stanford.
We also don't know how Stanford manages NILs either.
There's that.
Because if David Shaw is at a competitive disadvantage when it comes to NILs, how can you terminate him for it? Like he's literally competing against millions of dollars now. So, but every school is different in terms of how that stuff is handled. I do want to point this out before we get to the Kings. With the gray and the white and the black Raider cap and then the athletic, the beard looks exceptional today. The gray and the, I mean, it's this is the Jason Jones vibe here with that gray and the beard and the gray all around. That's a good look, Jay.
The ladies are tapping in and they're saying Jason Silver Fox Jones.
Yeah.
I thought about dyeing it back in the day. And then someone said, once it's been seen gray, you can't try to double back like it wasn't gray.
LeBron did it.
Well, LeBron's rich.
Remember? No, there's that.
Remember
all the grays he had in 2016 when they made that run? He had a bunch of grays. Now that's jet black.
Yeah. Then LeBron also goes from having hair to no hair to I don't know.
Yeah, I just saw them a second ago. His hairline, he just looks exceptional when he's not playing basketball. Like his hairline is like everything's perfect. And now I know how it happens. Like I know exactly what they do to get LeBron looking good there. That works. So we'll go from the Silver Fox to De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox. Thank you. Yes. De'Aaron Fox named Western Conference Player of the Week. How long do you think the NBA realized? Yeah, let's give De'Aaron the nod. Oh, you know what would be great? You know who's earned it over here in the Eastern Conference? Let's create a little storyline here and give our players of the weeks to De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, both of which earned it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, De'Aaron's gotten it before, and generally when the Kings do well, I call it kind of like the NBA shock value. Oh, my God, the Kings have been good for like more than 3 days. Whoever the reason that is, they get player of the week because that doesn't happen. and he's had it 2 times before this, I think. And
Yeah.
every time, and so he's definitely earned it. And so I think it's because it's an award that doesn't really mean anything. Like it's a cool little recognition, but it's not like someone's gonna like lose their job if they don't get it. I think it's cool that Tyrese got it as well because Tyrese had a hell of a week too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more cool than anything. I mean, there's always about 5 guys in each conference who could make claim for the award, but I think right now the Kings have all the good mojo. They've got Star Wars beams shooting out the arena and all type of stuff going on. So they're getting actually some positive love nationally. Like, and you can tell the shift because now they're actually watching them before they write about them, as opposed to writing things about the Kings that clearly show they haven't seen them do anything.
Yeah.
Like writing about random guys being the 6th man who don't play. Oh, a lot of the kind of the bad coverage they've gotten nationally. Now people are actually watching them. So right now the Kings got all the mojo. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
What do you? I don't know if you got a chance to hear it, but our guy Eddie Gonzalez and Kevin Durant on their latest episode of the Etceteras, KD kind of went into a bit of a diatribe about how difficult it is to play against this Kings team right now when you have De'Aaron Fox doing what he's doing and the way Kevin Huerter's shooting and they've got shooting everywhere. Do you think that this is? And we talked about it a little bit on our pod, but do you think this is sustainable? Do they have they somehow come together with the coaching staff and the roster, a team that can be a top 3 offense all year long?
Oh, they're going to score all year. I mean, they're going to score. They're going to score. The main thing is going to be, are they going to get stops? But they're going to score. I mean, I don't see many nights where they're scoring like 98 points. I don't see a lot of. I mean, they play too fast. First off, as long as they're getting up and down, they're going to get so many shots up. They're going to get some points on the board. So I think that part is sustainable because they got too many guys who can score. I mean, if you can go, if you can go all the way down to Terrence Davis, know that he can have a big night. Monk can have a night. Huerter can have a night. Sabonis can have. They got too many guys who can, and even like on a kind of general like okay night, Harrison's good for 18, 20. Keegan can probably get you 18 other nights. That doesn't even get into De'Aaron, who's probably good for 25 to 30 every night. So they're going to score. I think that's not even a question. They definitely will be scoring a lot of points all season.
Jay, because you've talked about this before, why do you think the offense is flowing? So, because we see them moving faster also. And I'm trying not to use the word pace. So I'm just going to say that they're moving faster. We've even seen on inbound plays, guys inbounding the ball, talking to the referee, give me the ball, and then them inbounding real quick and get up the floor. You have told us before this isn't the first time this edict has been out there. They've been told to push before, but didn't necessarily do it. Why are they so responsive this year?
I think it's 2 things. One, De'Aaron is demanding it. I mean, there were times in the past where if guys weren't running, De'Aaron didn't run. And there were times where the coaches would say, we don't care if they don't go. You have to go. Make them go with you. And I think as a younger player, he wasn't as forceful with doing that. I mean, there'd be times where I remember when he had the big fro. I'd always say, they're playing well if I see that fro going backwards. That means he's pushing. And there was often too many times where he just wasn't pushing it. But now I think that's one of it. De'Aaron's so assertive right now and aggressive. And secondly, you put more guys around him who would run. I mean, if you go back, in the last few years, they've had guys around him who just couldn't. They either wouldn't or couldn't really fit in with that. They may have wanted to run. I mean, but you didn't have 7, 8, 9 guys willing to do it. You may have had 3 or 4 who you said, okay, they're committed to getting up and down the court. I think in the combination of that, and also just the fact they have the shooting. So when those guys, like when a Kevin Huerter and a Malik Monk fan out on a break, you've got to respect where they're at. They can also get to the basket. TD can get to the rim. I mean, you've got so much shooting that even when De'Aaron takes off, if those guys all stop at the 3-point line, you've got to respect that. So I think it's a combination that you got to give De'Aaron a lot of credit for what he's playing and pushing this tempo, because this team really starts and stops with De'Aaron. If De'Aaron's not doing that, consistently, you can't do it. And I think he's, I think coming in a little lighter this year helps him. He didn't cut, the 200-pound or so De'Aaron was not the move, so he looks good. He's playing, he's playing fast, and the guys around him have bought into playing fast with him.
Yeah. One of the guys that supports that as you break all that down, Jason, is I think about Domantas Sabonis. And one of the things that maybe been a deterrent for De'Aaron Fox in the past was the fact that if we want to play fast, I got to be the one to do it all the time. There's nobody else that could get the ball and get up the court. Maybe I could fill the lane. And now you got a guy in Domantas Sabonis who there's not even an outlet pass. He gets the rebound and he sees a lane. He might take off and run things and get things going. And that is something that another thing that takes a little bit of a burden off of De'Aaron. Sabonis going up and down the floor the way he does and initiating the fast break himself. That's got to be something that just really opens this offense up even more, when sometimes you don't even have to make an outlet pass. The guy who gets the rebound is willing to push it up just as much.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too people don't realize about De'Aaron, is that De'Aaron is not I have to have the ball type of guy. Like, if I don't have the ball every second, there's a problem. De'Aaron wants to get out and fill in the lane too. So if you got somebody else willing to get the ball and push for him, I mean, as fast as De'Aaron is with the ball, who's going to keep up with De'Aaron on the wing if he takes off? Nobody. And that opens up even more things for them. So yeah, I think you got, not just Sabonis too. I think Malik can push. I think TD will push. I mean, if Davion's in, he'll push. If, I think you got a number of guys, and also probably we're not mentioning too is the rebounding. That might be the biggest thing where Sabonis has helped them. I mean, they've been such a bad rebounding team, especially in those post-DeMarcus years. They haven't had a guy who could even get you 10 boards consistently a night.
Yeah.
Probably the highest they had, maybe even 8 a game. But now you got a guy who can get you 15, 18 some nights. So when you do get misses, you're not, you can try to control things and push. You probably need to force more misses. But, I mean, all those things create a situation where they can keep this offense going. And if they get better defensively, they'll be even more potent on offense.
Right.
Feels like this is a sneaky big game for Domantas Sabonis, because, as we were talking about earlier in the week, Sabonis is a really, really strong dude. And if there's any guy in the league he's not stronger than, it's the guy he's going against tonight.
Man.
Like, Steven Adams is a house. And this is like this to me, this is we talk about test. This is a night for Sabonis to get out there and get physical with a dude who's actually stronger than him.
Yeah, or maybe you say, you know what, I'm not going to mix it up with Aquaman. I'm going to go out here about 15 feet and put him in some, make him uncomfortable. Sometimes it's the smartest thing to do is to not try to go power for power with a guy like Adams,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a good match. I mean, he's played against Steven Adams plenty of times in his career. Some of those times, especially in Indiana, he had Miles Turner with him. Now it's all on him, just in terms of the physicality standpoint. But yeah, this is a good test for him. I mean, he may also benefit from the fact that their backcourt could be a little depleted, and maybe that opens up things on the perimeter more. And they don't need as much from Sabonis. But this is the reason why you have him for games like this, where teams have traditionally pushed the Kings around, because they didn't fear anybody in the paint. Now you have a situation where Steven Adams knows he's going to work. He's not going to be able to walk in and get his 20 boards because no one's going to stop him.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the defense and the defensive end, and you talked about how if they can do something on the defensive end, that's going to make their offense even more potent in the way they get up and down the floor. Do you think they can do something on the defensive end? Do you think this team is capable of being better, or is this kind of who they are?
They got to be able to be better, because they show they can be better in spurts. They show they have the capability to do it. I mean, I think it was Elston Turner who told me years ago the same skills you need to be a great offensive player are the same on defense. Instincts, intelligence, quick feet, lateral quickness, all those things apply on defense. A lot of times it comes down to knowing your assignment and the effort. And like I said, they're not going to be, a 1990s Knicks team and just beat people up. That's not who they are. But they can't be 28th, 29th, 30th in every defensive category and expect us to win at a high level over the course of the year. I mean, it's good right now, but eventually you can't be 29th or 28th or 30th in field goal percentage allowed, 3-point percentage allowed, most points in the paint allowed. You can't have all of those and then expect to, say win 45, 50 games. Because even if you do, and you say you do get to the postseason, teams like that get swept because the good teams are not going to allow you to do what you want. And they're going to make you slow down and execute. And I think when you defend the way the Kings have defended most of this year, if the game does slow down, they're going to have a problem. If you're because what we've seen is that bad shooting teams look like good shooting teams against them. The Lakers are not a great shooting team. They look like a great shooting team that night. The Pistons are not a good offensive team.
Yeah.
They look damn good the other night. You can't allow teams like that to hang with you because you're giving them good looks to start the game. I mean, teams are jumping out and getting 65, 70 points in the first half with them or whatever the case may be. They may fade, but there's going to be a lot of nights where those teams that are bad shooting teams don't fade in the second half. And now you got a problem. You're not going to run into a Detroit team without Cade Cunningham all the time. You're going to find some teams that are veteran teams who are going to say, they're going to let us get these good looks. We're going to beat them because we're getting those good looks. So I think you got to, at some point, it's got to turn not to, number 3 in the league, but getting at least to the top 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the last 16 years, the best they finished was 19th. So I mean, even if you're in that range, and it can happen over the course of the year. Boston turned it around last year, and now they don't have Marcus Smart and Boston's defenders and whatnot, but they're not going to maybe go from like near the bottom of the top 5, but they can get in the top 20. I think that's enough for them to have a winning record. But for them, I worry about if they go through a week or so where their shots aren't falling. Can they turn it up enough defensively and not give up those good looks that other teams are getting against them right now? And, still kind of grind out some games, get some wins.
And you know what, though, Damien, real quick, I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with everybody. They gotta play better defense for sure. But we talk about when the game slows down later in the season and possibly in the playoffs if they're able to get there. And you'll be like, hey, game slows down, you're gonna have to execute in the half court. Okay. They kill in the half court. Like, that's the difference between this team and the last Jaeger year, where the book was real simple. Like, once they figured out, hey, don't let them run, get back on defense, they have nothing for you in the half court. This team, like we said, KD broke it down in that clip. They're surgical in the half court with the open shots they're able to get. And that's why, not saying they shouldn't play defense, not making that argument, but that's what gives the optimism to, if they are able to step up on the defensive end, sky's the limit. You had a great comparison last night when you said like the old Don Nelson teams. Like, if they're able to defend half court, open court, it don't matter. They're getting buckets, and they're going to get buckets.
I think for me, when I say execute too in the half court, that also means execute defensively, because you can't be in a situation where if the game does slow down, the other team knows I'm getting exactly what I want, every time down. And we saw Spurs earlier in the year where teams got whatever they wanted, late in games. They tightened it up a little, but I still think that, over the course of the season, you still need to see that continued improvement, because, generally in the NBA, the 28th, 29th, 30th team in defense might be fun to watch, but they don't win a whole lot, and they don't make the playoffs. So I think you still want to work on improving that. But hey, right now they're scoring enough to make it work. Just so I think even Mike Brown said in the article in The Athletic, game 40, game 50, those legs are a little tired. You're gonna have to be able to buckle down and not rely on we'll go get 130 or that beam doesn't get lit a lot.
Well, and that's I think that's the other note of the early part of this season, Jay, is the fact that no, they're not playing defense very well, but they are playing very good defense at the end of games. And we saw that against Detroit. Like they just let Detroit light them up until the final 5 minutes. We saw this with the Lakers. The Lakers got super comfortable shooting threes. They got super comfortable shooting, period. But then they locked them down in the last handful of minutes. And I don't know what that's telling us. The team's clearly capable of playing defense, but obviously for a short spurt. And I'm not, we used the analogy earlier, like that defense seems to go from 0 to 10 quick. It sits at 0, but it finishes at 10. There's not a lot of in between. Can we get a 4 or a 5 somewhere in there, like in the second quarter or the third quarter, where you hold the team to 21 points in a quarter or something like that, or 20 points in a quarter?
Yeah, and they're gonna have to find that. And the thing is, the two examples we just used, those aren't exactly two very good teams right now either.
Sure.
They go on this trip, they're gonna see some teams that if you let them hang around, they're gonna make you pay for that. I think, Lonnie Walker and Pat Beverly shooting late is a lot different than DeJounte Murray and Trae Young shooting the ball late. So, I think, as we see the competition begin to pick up and you see a Jaylen Brown and a Jason Tatum and a Malcolm Brogdon, you start seeing guys like that. Those are going to really test you to where you can't try to turn it. You can't try to go from 0 to 10. You better be on 5, 6, 7 from the start. And one of the problem they've had this year is that teams have gotten comfortable early and they've had to ramp it up so much late. You're going to run into some teams that are going to say, it's too late. We're already clicking. You can't slow us down. I mean, they were able to escape against Cleveland because Donovan didn't get going early, but Donovan put a scare in them. I mean, that's an all-star level player who basically got what he wanted for almost an entire half. Now you start seeing more and more guys like that. You're gonna have a problem, I think. So they've shown they can. To me, that's the more maddening part about it. If you show you can do it late, do it the entire game. Well, at this rate, do it half the game. Don't get comfortable giving up 115 because that's just not, to me, over the course of 82 games, it's not sustainable. So what are we, 15 games in right now? I mean, it's not, I think it's too early to say this is who they're going to be all year, but I think you've seen signs that it's gotten better. You just need to see more of it, more consistency on that end, because like I said, this trip here, and then when you start seeing the Phoenixes more, and you start seeing the, like when you see a Paul George who says, okay, fourth quarter is my time. When you start seeing guys like that more and more and more, that's where it becomes a problem. I mean, they should be more mad that they even let a team without Cade Cunningham get that many points.
Yeah.
that should be, you won, but you should be mad that how do we let this team without, their best player put up almost 130 on us. But that, like I said, admittedly, that's nitpicking. But when you're doing well, you got to do that a little bit because when you're losing, there's plenty to point out. But when you're winning, you still have to figure out what can you do better to sustain this and to keep going. And I think everyone in the league knows that for them it's defense.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm doing a little bit of research here as we're talking about it, that kind of tells the tale of what this Kings team could be on both sides. And I look back to last season and the team that led the league in scoring. I'm just going points per game, not the rating, all this other stuff. I'm going to old school stats, right? But the points per game was the Minnesota Timberwolves. They put up 115.9 points per game last year, and were number one team in offense in the league. They got to the playoffs, right? But one of the things that we saw is, what did they blow? They were on defense. They were 24th in points per game in defense. And what do we see in the playoffs? They blew 3 20-point leads, because when you play against those good teams, if you give them opportunities, it doesn't matter how much you score, they're going to find a way to get back into the game And Memphis really stole like 3 of those games in that series, but that's because Minnesota didn't play any defense. On the flip side of this, you look at last year's numbers as well. And I think Memphis, I think I got this correct. Yeah, they were number 2 in points per game last year. They averaged 115.6. They were 12th in points per game given up allowed in the league. They were able to win a playoff series because of that, right? Because when they were able to get it done and on the defensive end, that allowed them to win close games against a team like Minnesota or anybody else. They went 6 against the Warriors and things of that nature. But, possibly I say all that to say that's what we're possibly talking about. A team that may make the playoffs and get bounced because they can't stop some of the good teams when they need to, or a team that can kind of get themselves together, be middle of the pack defensively. And who knows, you may be able to get a series or 2 in the playoffs because of that.
Think about this. Minnesota had to win a play-in game. To get in. And,
that was a very emotional playing game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was the greatest playing victory in history. I mean, by far. But, they, with all the talent they had.
That would be us. That would be us this year. I'm not even fronting.
I already know. The Kings get a playing game and win. There's going to be a parade that night. I mean,
Yeah, the difference is Pat Bev has been to, like, conference finals. What are you doing crying over winning a playing game? You always bring up Willie Green shedding a tear at the end of the series. He was Viola Davis crying out there on the playing game.
I never said about Willie Green. That must be my man over here. But
that's your partner.
Willie Green was crying with 3 minutes to go in Game 6. Why are we crying? Why? Man, I'm an emotional guy myself. You guys should have seen me this weekend preparing for my daughter. The waterworks are crazy, but 3 minutes to go in the game. Why are we crying, Willie? Why? It's a 4-point game.
It was not.
Wow. He got Willie Green crying in the middle of during crunch time, like he just gave up.
Before, like in 2 years, the story is going to be Willie Green was crying before Game 4 at the pregame press conference.
Because he knew it was over. Yeah. Pat Bev put on one of the great emotional. Well, remember they beat the Clippers, so that was one of the great emotional. You got KD in 2008, Pat Bev in 2022 in the playing game. Like in terms of this raw emotion. Yeah, so I can see, but I don't know if there's a King who would cry. Like,
it'd be Kings fans.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't see De'Aaron crying about, but yeah,
they're all pretty stoic.
It's probably poor Gary Gerald would probably be the G-man just sobbing like, oh
wow,
after 16 years, finally. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
I will just overcome with emotion.
Yeah, there's going to be somebody this and you're going to be like, you realize you now got, I don't know, you got Phoenix now. We don't care. This is the greatest day ever. It was all worth it to get to this day. And it's like, okay, yeah.
Well, it won't be wrong. Wait, wouldn't it
keep giving up, 130 points a game, you'd be, might be 11th,
Yeah. Wouldn't it be amazing if it was Keegan Murray, the one who just showed like this just massive flow of emotion at the Kings?
Holding it in for
I look at him like, why are you crying? You haven't experienced pain.
Just snot bubbles coming out of the young man's
I'd be like, what is your issue? You just got here.
He'd just be so happy for the city. That would be it. He'd just be so happy.
Somebody they trade for at the deadline is just balling out like, hold up, dude, you've been here 2 months. I don't understand. What's wrong with you? Because at this point, no one on this team played at Arco, so we can't. I was gonna say that'd be part of the emotional speed. So you don't have an Arco guy anymore. Yeah, we're getting to the point where a lot of guys in the league didn't play at Arco.
Yeah.
Fewer.
What is this? The 6th year in Golden One? I think so. I think it's 6 years. This is
2016. Yeah, it started in 2016. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it'd be somebody random. You'd be like, what? Keegan, what's wrong with you?
It's so good though. It'd be the first piece of emotion he shows all year.
He just be, wow, like this is amazing.
You look like Olivia Pope out there at center court.
Yeah, it's just like Kata runs off the bench and it just breaks down. It's like he does with Tony Allen, because we were in Memphis when Memphis finally clinched the spot years ago. Tony was like on the floor hitting the court, and it'd be like, man, you know, Kevin Herter, who's been to a conference finals, is just like stoic, like just getting started, guys. Just getting started. Why are you guys all emotional? We're just getting started. This is nothing. You know,
Keegan out there making snow angels in the confetti.
Leave Keegan alone, man. Keegan, yeah, man. How did this become the Keegan's gonna be the guy? You know, man.
It's like he's holding all of this emotion in, and then it's just gonna burst.
See Keegan and Harrison, this can't hold it in.
That'd be crazy. Harrison
yeah.
might shed a tear. Harrison, you know, my little G tier.
Because Harrison ain't been to the playoffs since he left Golden State.
Oh,
Yeah.
since 2016.
Man, yeah. He might really need to shed some tears if they get in. Because he'd be like, he might have really thought it never happened again. Like, I got dropped off, you know. He avoided the misery by the Kings passing on him to take Thomas Robinson. Then he ends up here and he never sees the playoffs again.
Well,
Harrison Barnes goes off into a world of philanthropy. You know, I can see Harrison like being like a college professor eventually, you know, doing all these great things and just be like, man, it was great when I was in the playoffs back in the day.
It's happening this year. It's happening this year. Let's go.
Harrison's I'd be happy for Harrison. I like Harrison. I like a lot of guys on it. I'd be happy for him if they could, you know, experience that, because it's crazy that in a sport where 16 teams get in, that the Kings haven't just gotten lucky once in like the last 16 years and stumbled into 8.
You know, we joke about it a little bit, and I don't think this would happen.
Wow.
But I could see Fox getting a little emotional. Fox has been through.
Oh yeah, I can see that too.
A lot in his 5 or 6, and he's not an emotional guy, but he's been through a lot in this time, and I could see him. I don't know about a tear or two, but I can
see De'Aaron making a smart comment like, "What the hell are you guys so emotional for?" I could see it go the other way. He'd be like, "Okay, yeah, we're in. I thought we would be in. So why are you guys acting like this? We got a game. We got a game in 3 days against a good team. Calm down." I can see that. De'Aaron going the other way.
It could be either or. There is no in between for Fox.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be. That'll be the whole. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about this and before.
Because we're making the playoffs, Jason. That's why.
We've completely just skipped past the All-Star. We've skipped past De'Aaron being All-Star. We're like, well, when they get in the playoffs, you know, will Mike Brown shed a tear? You know, will Doug speak to the fans after the game?
That's who'll cry. Doug will shed a tear. That's who it'll be.
Vivek will cry.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Vivek will cry because he'll say, "All you guys laughed at me all these years. Now look at me now."
He is not going to say that.
This
got way out of hand.
He's going to get on social media. You know, he's going to be cussing on there about lighting the beam. It's going to get real rowdy. It's going to get real rowdy. I want to be there because I just want to sit there with some popcorn and a glass of brown alcohol and enjoy the scene.
This is my fault.
I just want to, yeah.
It really is. If you guys can't tell, the lights have dimmed in the studio.
Yeah. Because the show's over. The studio is literally turning the lights off on us. We appreciate you so much for being with us. Check out the latest episode of J Street Vibes. Check out all of Jason Jones' work at The Athletic.